What's the creepiest thing that's ever happened to you late at night? This still haunts me. Hey Reddit. I'm Rachel, 26, and I've always been a night owl. There's something about the quiet hours when everyone else is asleep that feels calming. At least it used to. A couple of years ago, something happened to me late at night that I still can't explain. It wasn't just creepy, it was wrong on a level I can't quite put into words. Even now I get chills thinking about it. At the time, I was living in a tiny studio apartment on the outskirts of town. It wasn't much, just one big room with a kitchenette and a bathroom. But it was mine, and I loved the independence it gave me. The building was old and creaky, but my neighbors were nice, and I never felt unsafe. This happened on a random Tuesday night in December. I remember because it was freezing outside, and I was curled up on my couch with a blanket, binge-watching some random crime docuseries. It was around 1 a.m., and I was debating whether I should go to bed or watch just one more episode. Classic, right? I was half asleep on the couch when I heard this faint, rhythmic tapping. At first, I thought it was part of the show I was watching, but when I paused it, the tapping was still there. It was faint but steady, like someone was lightly knocking on a piece of wood. I sat up and tried to figure out where it was coming from. My first thought was that it was my upstairs neighbor, Mr. Clark. He was this sweet old man who loved woodworking and would sometimes accidentally make noise late at night. But this didn't sound like sawing or hammering. It was deliberate, like someone tapping their fingernails against something. The sound seemed to be coming from the wall near my front door. I figured it was probably nothing, just the building settling or something, but it still gave me this uneasy feeling. I turned up the volume on my TV to drown it out and told myself to stop being paranoid. About 15 minutes later, I got up to grab a glass of water. My kitchen area was right by the front door, which had one of those frosted glass panels that let in a little light from the hallway. As I walked by, I noticed a shadow move across the glass. I froze. At first, I thought it was just someone walking past my door. My neighbors came and went at all hours, so it wasn't that unusual, but then the shadow stopped. It didn't move away, it just lingered. My heart was pounding, but I tried to stay calm. I told myself it was probably nothing. Maybe someone had dropped their keys or was checking their mail. Still, something about the way the shadow just stayed there made my skin crawl. I slowly backed away from the door and grabbed my phone, just in case. As I stood there clutching my phone and debating whether to call someone, the tapping started again. This time it was louder and closer. It was coming from the other side of the door. I don't know how to describe the sound exactly, but it wasn't like knocking. It was more deliberate, like someone was dragging their nails down the door, pausing and then tapping lightly, almost playfully. I tried to convince myself it was a neighbor messing around, but who does that at 1 a.m.? And why my door? At this point, I was officially freaked out. I didn't want whoever was on the other side of that door to know I was there, but my curiosity got the better of me. I crept closer and looked through the peephole. There was a man standing there. He wasn't doing anything, just standing, his face partially obscured by the frosted glass. But there was something about the way he stood that felt wrong. His head was tilted slightly and he wasn't moving at all, not even shifting his weight like a normal person. He just stood there, completely still, like he was waiting for something. I don't know why I did this, but I whispered, "Hello," through the door. The tapping stopped immediately, and then the man laughed. It wasn't a normal laugh. It was low, quiet, and drawn out, like he was trying to hold it back but couldn't. It was the kind of laugh that makes your stomach drop because you know something isn't right. I backed away from the door, shaking. My first instinct was to call the police, but before I could dial, I heard the doorknob jiggle, just a quick, testing movement like he was seeing if it was locked. I bolted to my kitchen and grabbed the biggest knife I could find. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. I stood there, staring at the door, waiting for him to try something else. But then, nothing. No more tapping, no more laughing, just silence. I stayed like that for what felt like hours, but it was probably only a few minutes. When I finally worked up the courage to check the peephole again, he was gone. I didn't sleep that night. I called my building manager the next morning and told him what happened. He checked the security cameras, but said he didn't see anyone in the hallway at the time I described. I even filed a police report, but without any evidence, there wasn't much they could do. I don't know who that man was or what he wanted, but I haven't been able to shake the feeling that he'll come back. I moved out of that apartment a few months later, but I still get scared every time I hear tapping late at night. So Reddit, what do you think? Was it just some weirdo trying to scare me, or was it something more sinister? Have any of you experienced anything like this? Because I still can't explain what happened, and I don't think I'll ever forget that laugh.